Hello everyone, welcome back to another Genshin Impact video. So I've come to realize that Yae Miko isn't actually that flexible in terms of team comps. And while it could be argued that she could be slotted into any team just for off-field damage, I still feel as though Yae Miko only truly shines in a few different teams. So today we're going to be breaking down my 5 top picks for Yae Miko team comps, so that hopefully you can bring out her full potential on your own account. Keep in mind that I will be showcasing her best in slot options, but whenever there's a reasonable replacement, I'll try to make sure I mention it. Please keep in mind that these are not the only Yae Miko team comps that you can run. I'm sure that there are other viable options, it's just that these are the ones that personally got me the best results in Spiral Abyss, and so I wanted to share them with you guys so that you could use them if you have these characters available. If you do end up finding the video helpful at all, please feel free to leave me a like and comment down below. It really does help me boost into the YouTube algorithm and I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you want to see more Genshin Impact content from me, make sure to hit that subscribe button and click that notification bell. But with all that out of the way, let's get into the video. Just so that we're all on the same page, let's quickly go over my current Yae Miko build. That way you'll know what we're working with when I slot her into a team. My Yae Miko currently has 2,205 attack, 44 elemental mastery, 68.1% crit rate, 239.8% crit damage, 125.9% energy recharge, which in all honesty is very low for a Yae Miko build, so definitely shoot for over 150 if you can manage it. But moving along, she has 46.6% Electro bonus damage, she's rocking an R1 Kagura's Verity. As for my artifacts, I've actually switched over to a 2-piece Gladiator, 2-piece Shimenawa, because this has recently been found to be her best overall set, at least for the time being. The difference between most of the artifact sets available currently is pretty negligible, so honestly just go with whatever has the best substats. My Yae Miko is currently C0 and will be for the entire duration of the video, and after tussling with the Raiden Shogun, I finally managed to get her talent levels up to 688. Okay, but now that we finally know what we're working with, let's move on to my top 5 team comps. Number 5, Sub DPS Yae for a Eula team comp. I've actually seen a few questions on whether or not Yae and Eula are a decent team, and after a lot of playtesting, I can honestly say, yeah, they are. Yae is able to provide Eula with a lot of Electro application, making it easier for Eula to activate Superconduct and lower enemies' resistance to physical damage. Honestly, there's not really anything special about their interactions, it really just comes down to the fact that Yae Miko can provide you with more damage, and free up other Electro units if you need them on another team. However, it is important to note that this team is heavily reliant on Diona, because not only can she provide shields and heals, but she also acts as an extra battery for Eula, and at C6 she can actually give an extra 200 elemental mastery to Yae, which actually ends up being a decent boost to her skill damage. You can also equip Diona with the full 4-piece Noblesse set so that she can give your entire team an attack boost. And obviously the Raiden Shogun is important here too, both serving as an energy battery for both Yae and Eula, while simultaneously increasing their burst damage thanks to her passive. Just keep in mind that if she is C0, she's going to function more as a support than a damage dealer, and you're only going to see the damage numbers on screen if you have her C2 or above. And while I do think that Raiden probably is the best option for this team, you can also switch out Raiden for Fischl and she'll get the job done, since she also functions as a decent off-field damage dealer, and honestly a pretty decent energy battery as well. The only reason why I haven't ranked this team any higher is because Yae Miko is actually completely replaceable on this team. You could easily substitute her for Fischl, Beidou, or even Rosaria, and you'd still get some pretty decent results. So while I do think that this is a very good team, I think that Yae Miko's replaceability on this team really knocked this down a peg. Number 4, Hyper Carry Yae Miko. Now this is a team that you probably already know, however instead of Yae Miko, it's usually Raiden Shogun that's leading the way. And while I do think that the Raiden Shogun version is the superior version, slotting in Yae Miko is still completely viable, and ultimately frees up Raiden if you need her for another team. I would say that this is easily the highest nuke team comp for Yae Miko currently, and it's all thanks to the attack boost that she gets from both Bennett and Kujou Sara, as well as the extra Electro bonus damage and Electro shred that Kazuha provides. And on top of this, if you do have Kujou Sara at C6, then you're getting an additional 60% Electro crit damage, which as you can imagine absolutely skyrockets your burst damage to the next level. However, it is important to note that this team comp does have a few downsides, one being that Yae Miko can't snapshot Bennett's burst, meaning that if you do want the buff, you're going to have to be inside his circle at all times. Otherwise, you'll see a huge fall off in damage. And secondly, this team does run into energy issues if you don't have high enough ER, because unlike some of the other team comps on this list, you unfortunately don't have Raiden or Fischl battering your team. However, if you do manage to get around these issues, then this is definitely a solid choice. Number 3, Yae Miko Mono Electro. Now this one is extremely interesting. Now I suppose that Mono Electro has technically been possible ever since Kujou Sara was released, however there's something about the addition of Yae Miko that makes it all come together. While Beidou and Fischl are both excellent Electro damage dealers, neither of them have the nuking capability of Yae Miko or the Raiden Shogun. So when you pair both of these units with Kujou Sara, especially at C6, and then add in an Anemo Swirler, and this easily easily become some of the biggest damage output that we've seen come out of Electro. The rotations can be a little bit tricky, but when everything falls into place and those crits hit, this team easily competes for top damage dealer. I especially love this team because you don't need Bennett or Kazuha in order to make it work. Instead, Kujou Sara acts as your buffer, and a character like Jean acts as your swirler as well as your healing. In fact, I would say that Jean is the glue that holds this team together. However, if you don't have Jean on your account, you can always substitute her for Sayu. Just keep in mind that she does have a higher cost energy burst, so you might need a little bit more energy recharge in order to make sure that your heals are always up. Overall, this team is a little bit quirky, but the sheer amount of raw Electro damage simply can't be overlooked. The only reason why I won't rank this any higher on the list is because this team seems to really require high investment. I think at the very bare minimum, you're going to want C2 on your Kujou Sara, that way you can maintain your buff at all times, but this team in particular really seems to be craving that C6, so that all of your Electro damage dealers can be getting that additional 60% crit damage. And while I do think that this team would still function with a C0 Raiden, I think it only really starts to shine when you hit C2. This way you can have really high damage numbers from both your Yae Miko and your Raiden Shogun, and never feel like you're at a DPS loss. So while I think that this team would be decent at any level of investment, its true potential is definitely locked behind constellations. Number 2, the Yae Miko Taser comp. While Electro Charge isn't always thought of as the strongest reaction, in reality it's quite lethal, and fortunately for us, a Yae Miko Electro Charge team is no exception. The team that I'm using for this video consists of Yae Miko, Kokomi, Kazuha, and Raiden Shogun. I currently think that this is her best Taser comp, mainly because of how well balanced it is. All of these units are able to provide off-field damage, and I think that's one of the main reasons why it works so well. While you might not see as high damage numbers as some other team comps in this video, the damage is very consistent. So as long as your enemy isn't immune or resistant to Hydro or Electro, you're essentially going to be hitting them 100% of the time. This is one of the main reasons why I picked Kokomi, since she does have such good off-field Hydro application. However, she simultaneously acts as a healer, and as you already know, role consolidation is very valuable. However, if you don't have Kokomi, you could also replace her with Xingqiu, since he does provide a lot of off-field Hydro and does heal occasionally. Or you could sub in Mona with a prototype Amber so that you could get a little bit of extra damage, while also getting in heals after her burst. It really just depends on what you have available. And while I personally liked having the Raiden Shogun in this position for energy recharge, again, Fischl is a viable option. And luckily this go round, Kazuha could be replaced as well with Sucrose, since she does provide a decent amount of crowd control, provides resistance shred, and can even transfer some of her elemental mastery to Yae Miko. Overall, I think that this team comp is really strong, very consistent, and very flexible, which is why I have it ranked so high on this list. Okay, but before we go over number 1, I want to quickly point out an honorable mention, that being the Yae Sukokomon team. Essentially, you're taking the meta team Sukokomon, and all you're doing is replacing Fischl with Yae Miko. I am less familiar with this team, but I do know that it does take a specific order in order to bring out its full potential, which is why while I do see that this team could be very good, I just don't think that it's seen enough playtime in order to get the proper rotations down. On top of this, Fischl was acting as an energy battery for her team, while Yae Miko is an energy sponge, which might make full rotations a little bit harder. This is a team where I can see potential, but as of recording, I don't think that there's enough information in order to land it in the top 5, so it'll stay an honorable mention for the time being. Alright, and that brings us to number 1. Duel hyper carries Yae Miko and Raiden Shogun. I currently think that this team is probably the best of the best. Not only does it have insanely high damage output, but it's surprisingly well balanced and easy to use. You basically use Kazuha in order to boost your Electro damage and shred your enemy's resistance to Electro, while using the long duration of Bennett's burst in order to boost all of your damage. This way you can actually nuke with both Yae Miko and Raiden Shogun within the same window. Yes, you do have to make sure that you are within Bennett's burst, especially since we know that Yae Miko can't snapshot, but so long as you can do that, you're going to be hitting extremely hard. The only real downside to this team comp is that you're taking up 3 of the best support units in the game, meaning that if you did need them for another team comp, then unfortunately you're out of luck. Bennett, Kazuha, and Raiden Shogun have been dominating the meta since their releases, so it should really be no surprise that they can boost just about any character into top tier. It just so happens that Yae Miko does benefit from all of these units, allowing her to become a reliable source of off-field damage and a powerful nuke burst unit all at the same time. So if you really want to make your Yae Miko a consistent heavy hitter, then this is my current top recommendation. Unfortunately, since her release, Yae Miko has been getting a lot of bad press, and while I do personally agree that she is a little bit underwhelming at release, I still wanted to make this video to show you that she's still an extremely viable unit. It really just comes down to building the right team around her. I think that the long-term success of Yae Miko is going to come down to how she's implemented into teams, and whether or not she gets a full 4-piece artifact set that's specifically made for her. But unfortunately, that's something that we just don't have enough information about, and will only be answered with time. But for now, so long as you're using her in one of these teams or one of its many variations, you'll definitely be getting some good use out of the primos that you spent. If you found this video helpful at all, please feel free to leave me a like and comment down below. Let me know if you agree with this list or if you'd add something else. I'm actually pretty curious to see if there are any other combinations that I might have missed. And if you want to see more Genshin Impact content, make sure to hit that subscribe button and click that notification bell. But that's all for now, so until next time, best wishes. Bye.